What if the universe wasn't created by some ancient magic or, vague poetic metaphors, or even just a sudden random explosion?
Right.
What if instead the entire cosmos was generated by a highly advanced, mathematically precise, 10-part mechanical gear system?
Which is just a wild concept to wrap your head around.
It really is. Today, we are decoding a fascinating slide deck titled The Vedic Cosmic Blueprint. And our mission for this deep dive is to basically explore the exact mathematical geometry of existence.
Yeah, and it is a truly stunning framework to unpack because the sources we're analyzing today, they absolutely refuse to keep science, spirituality, and mathematics in these separate little mental boxes.
Right, they just smash them all together.
Exactly. They present this architecture of creation where, sacred geometry, mechanical gears, and pure consciousness all function together as a single unified theory of everything.
Which is so cool. And listen, if you have ever looked up at the night sky and just felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the universe, this deep dive is going to hand you the literal blueprints to make sense of it.
We're giving you the schematics.
Exactly. Because to understand how this massive cosmic machine works, we first have to find the power switch. We have to look at the very beginning of creation. And according to this text, the universe doesn't start with a bang.
No, it really doesn't.
It starts at a microscopic level, specifically within the pores of a divine entity known as Mahavishnu.
Right. So from those pores, the primary energy of existence basically divides into two foundational distinct forces.
Okay.
You have Prakriti, which translates roughly to nature, matter, or like the physical stuff of reality. And then you have Purusha, which is pure consciousness. It's the awareness that actually observes the matter.
So it's kind of like the ultimate binary code of the cosmos, right? Like form and awareness.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah, form and awareness. And the blueprint shows this binary system dividing even further to really set up the engine of reality.
Okay, how so?
Well, the consciousness aspect, the Purusha, it splits into the distinct entities of Shiva and Vishnu. Meanwhile, Prakriti, which is the matter aspect, it completely envelops and permeates Vishnu.
And that sets the stage for what the blueprint identifies as the exact point of creation, like the initial spark.
Yes, the big moment.
And it happens when Vishnu blinks, which is just...
I know, it's such a specific detail.
It's so specific. That single biological action causes Brahma, the creator deity, to emerge from Vishnu's navel.
Yeah.
When I first read this, I immediately pictured like a cosmic ignition switch.
Right.
Or like a literal big bang that is triggered by an involuntary reflex. It paints a picture that is intensely mechanical, but also strangely biological.
Yeah, the physical imagery is definitely deliberate there. But if you look at the underlying logic of the blueprint, this is, at its core, a flowchart of energy. The blink is basically a mechanism. It represents this sudden shift in state, moving from dormant potential energy into active kinetic creation.
Oh, wow.
It is the precise fraction of a second when consciousness actively decides to observe itself. And the sources actually point to a really deep concept of supreme balance that makes this blink even possible.
So it's like the ultimate equilibrium before the engine actually turns on.
Precisely, because the texts define Sri Krishna as the supreme Purusha, which means he represents primary consciousness combined with secondary nature.
Okay, tracking.
Conversely, Sri Radha is defined as the supreme woman, representing primary nature combined with secondary consciousness.
So they mirror each other perfectly.
Exactly. Bringing these two together represents an absolute flawless balance of those initial forces. You have the ultimate tension of perfectly balanced scales, and the blink is just what tips those scales and sets the machinery in motion.
That is fascinating. But once that balance tips and Brahma emerges, he doesn't just grab a cosmic paintbrush and start blindly throwing galaxies onto a canvas.
No, not at all.
The blueprint states he builds the universe using precise cosmic math. We transition from biological reflexes to what the source calls the math of the soul.
Yeah, we step into a deeply analytical space here. Because the text stops talking about deities as mere characters and starts decoding the soul and consciousness as these measurable mechanical constructs built from geometry.
Right, the geometry of the Atma of the soul is laid out explicitly in the slides, and it's entirely shape-based.
It really is.
The text represents Purusha, that core consciousness, as a triangle containing Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva.
Right.
Then that triangle merges with Prakriti, or Vaishnavi, which is represented as a circle containing the feminine divine energies. So that's Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Shakti. So the literal structural schematic of a human soul is a triangle placed inside a circle.
And that specific geometric merger is vital to understand because the shapes literally explain the function.
How so?
Well, a triangle represents direction, intent, and rigid structure. It has points, right? It has a vector.
Point somewhere.
Exactly. A circle, on the other hand, represents infinite potential, the continuous loop of reality, and basically nature itself.
I love that. It is literally like putting a directional compass inside a wheel.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Right. You have the intent and direction of consciousness wrapped perfectly inside the infinite rolling potential of nature. So the compass gives you a heading, and the wheel actually lets you move forward through reality.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. Intent wrapped in infinite potential creates an individual soul. But the blueprint scales this concept up into a framework it calls the secret gear system of the universe.
The gear system, right.
Yeah, the foundational architecture runs on a 10-part mechanical division. So the baseline, the absolute perfectly equal state of the universe occurs when Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva are perfectly balanced at a value of 10.
So Vishnu is 10, Brahma is 10, Shiva is 10.
Exactly. But the sources are quick to clarify this is a diagnostic scale for human comprehension. It's not like a literal spreadsheet of the divine.
Sure, sure. But even as a diagnostic scale, the mechanics are mind-bending. Because the text argues that depending on how you shift those specific gears, you generate completely different entities out of the exact same base energy.
Yes.
Like, take a Jivatma, which is an individual soul. So someone like you listening to this right now, your internal ratio is 4 parts Brahma, 3 parts Vishnu, and 3 parts Shiva. So Brahma is the highest gear.
Which logically aligns perfectly with the human experience, if you think about it.
Oh, because Brahma's the creator.
Exactly. As individual human souls, what are we constantly doing?
Making it up.
Right, we are obsessed with creating. We build careers, we build families, cities, narratives about our lives. Our dominant drive is to construct and alter our immediate environment, which perfectly maps to a dominant Brahma gear.
That makes so much sense because then when the blueprint moves to the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, the ratio shifts to 3 parts Brahma, 4 parts Vishnu, and 3 parts Shiva.
Vishnu takes the lead.
Right. Vishnu is the highest. And since Vishnu is the sustainer and preserver, the Supreme Soul's dominant function is maintaining the universe.
Spot on.
And then you have Parmeshwar, the Supreme Lord, where the ratio is 3 Brahma, 3 Vishnu, and 4 Shiva. So Shiva, the transformer and destroyer, takes the lead.
The elegance of this whole system is really how it demonstrates unity in diversity. The exact same source material, that core Purusha, creates entirely different states of existence simply by shifting its internal mathematical ratio.
Wow.
The ingredients never change, only the proportions.
You know, reading this section, it felt exactly like looking at a character creation screen in a role-playing video game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like you start a new game, and the system gives you exactly 10 stat points to distribute. You have to use all 10, but where you place them fundamentally alters the class of character you play. Put your points into creation, you get a human. Put them into preservation, you get a cosmic sustainer.
The video game analogy actually works really well to visualize the math,
Oh, go
but
ahead.
with one crucial caveat.
What's that?
Unlike a static video game character where you lock in your stats at the beginning and they never change, this blueprint implies a universe in constant dynamic motion.
Ah.
These gears dictate the specific nature of a soul, yes, but we have to look at what happens when these exact same gears expand outward to build physical space. The blueprint literally maps how we get from the internal math of a single soul to the vastness of a physical galaxy.
And the text actually pinpoints the exact moment a galaxy is born, which is wild.
It is.
It happens when the 3 Purushas, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva meet in a perfectly equal state. So when that gear matrix clicks into a 10-10-10 alignment, they form a Mahatma.
Right? A massive cosmic egg.
Yeah, and that cosmic egg physically manifests as an Akashganga, a galaxy.
And within every one of these newly hatched galaxies, the sources note that entities known as Rudras drive the ongoing physical creation.
Okay.
Like in our current mortal realm, this process is ruled by an entity referred to as Shankar. But the physics of how the space actually expands outward from that egg is the truly fascinating part to me.
Because it's not just a random explosion.
Right. Vishnu's expansion follows a very specific functional mantra, Eko Aham Bahusyam, which translates to, I am one, let me become many.
And the text describes that expansion as rippling waves moving infinitely outward. But, if you have endless outward expansion, everything would eventually just tear itself apart.
It would just shred into nothing.
Exactly. So while Vishnu is expanding like a wave, Shiva acts as the central axis, the linga. He holds the entire structure together.
Yeah, it is the ultimate cosmic tension between centrifugal and centripetal forces.
Right.
Vishnu is the centrifugal force, pushing energy outward to create diversity and volume. Shiva is the centripetal force, the gravitational center, pulling everything inward to maintain structural integrity.
So they need each other.
Absolutely. Without Vishnu, the universe remains a single compressed point. But without Shiva, the universe explodes into chaotic, disconnected dust. Together, they create a stable galaxy. And the blueprint actually maps this structural balance visually through the concept of the inverted cosmic tree, or the shivling.
Yes, the inverted tree. This visual is incredibly specific. It states the roots of this tree are all the way up in Goloka, which is Krishna's abode, the absolute highest divine plane.
Yes.
The trunk of the tree forms the central axis of the universe, piercing down through different dimensional realms, like Tapaloka, Janaloka, and Maharloka.
Right, acting like the anchor.
And then the energy flows outward from that central trunk into branches and finally into leaves. And the text reveals that those leaves hanging at the very bottom are the physical galaxies. So essentially, we are living on a leaf.
This visual usually stops people in their tracks when they first encounter it.
Oh, it definitely stopped me. I fought with this concept for a while.
Oh yeah, why?
Because why upside down? I mean, if I look at an oak tree in a park, the roots are in the dirt. They're at the bottom pulling up nutrients. Here, the roots are at the absolute peak of divinity, and our entire physical reality is dangling at the very bottom like an afterthought. It just feels backwards to how we naturally perceive growth,
I completely get that. It feels backwards until you reorient your perspective around the actual flow of cosmic energy.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Think about the function of that oak tree in the park. Its roots are spread wide in the dirt, pulling diverse scattered nutrients upward to feed a singular, unified organism.
Right.
Well, the cosmic tree operates on the exact opposite principle. Energy in this blueprint flows from a singular, unified, divine source, the roots in Goloka.
Yeah.
That pure, concentrated unity then disperses outward and downward, fracturing into the infinite diversity of physical space.
Oh, wow. So the progression goes from absolute unity to absolute multiplicity.
Exactly. The leaves aren't at the bottom because they are an afterthought. They are at the extremities because they represent the final, most diverse expression of that singular energy branching out into countless different forms. You cannot have infinite variety at the root. The variety only exists at the edges.
Wow. That reframes the entire concept. The diversity is the destination.
Pres-
But, before we go any further out into the cosmic edges, I want to pull this all the way down to a literal Tuesday morning.
Let's do it.
If I am a person listening to this on my commute, living on one of those tiny galaxy leaves, how does this massive mechanical tree actually connect back to me?
Well, the blueprint addresses this directly at the micro level of human experience. It details what it calls the human, machine, and life chakra.
Okay.
It reveals that the macro mechanics of the universe are literally running inside you through two distinct operating systems or chakras.
And the terminology here is unapologetically blunt. It straight up calls us a human machine.
Yes, it does.
It states that you are driven by either the Paramatma chakra or the Parmashwar chakra. So the Paramatma chakra is driven by a Panchagunmaya nature, meaning it operates on 5 specific qualities. And the chakra takes the wheel when a human lives their life on the basis of their soul. On the flip side, the Parmashwar chakra is driven by a Trigunmaya nature, operating on 3 qualities. And this one dominates when a human completely identifies with their physical body, which in turn drives their physical reactions and karma.
Exactly. And to ground this in your Tuesday morning scenario, we have to look at what those qualities actually represent in daily behavior.
Yeah, let's use the commute.
Perfect. So the Trigunmaya nature, the 3 qualities, generally aligns with physical and ego-driven drives: survival, ambition, and inertia or comfort. If you are stuck in terrible gridlock traffic and you are operating in the Parmashwar chakra, you are completely identified with your physical situation.
Oh, totally. White-knuckling the steering wheel.
Right. Your blood pressure spikes, you feel personally attacked by the delay, and your ambition to get to work directly clashes with the inertia of the cars around you. You are locked into the strict mechanics of physical action and reaction.
Okay, but what if I toggle over to the Paramatma chakra with its 5 qualities?
Well, the Panchagunmaya nature incorporates higher, soul-based elements, things like deeper truth, expansive compassion, and a wider perspective.
Interesting.
In that exact same traffic jam, if this gear is dominating, you recognize the physical delay, but your identity isn't bound by it. You maintain internal equilibrium. The external environment doesn't mechanically force an internal reaction.
I mean, I understand the practical application there. It sounds great, but I really have to push back hard on the core philosophy
Sure,
here.
what's bumping you?
Calling it the human machine
Yeah.
and reducing our consciousness to a set of gears that we toggle between. It sounds like we're just biological meat mechs.
Meat Max, yeah.
Am I just sitting inside my skull, flipping a switch between soul mode and body mode?
Yeah.
If I am just a machine running one of two predetermined cosmic scripts, where is my free will?
It is a totally valid friction point. I mean, when you hear words like machine or blueprint, it naturally implies a lack of agency. But diving deeper into the text's mechanism reveals something that is actually profoundly empowering. The framework isn't saying you are a pre-programmed robot. It is saying that the universe has provided you with a hyper-advanced vehicle, and you are the operator. Free will in this blueprint is entirely about where you place your attention.
Oh, so the machine exists, but I choose the gear.
Yes, identifying primarily with the material world actively engages the Parmeshwar gears. You are choosing to lock yourself into the rigid laws of physical karma.
Right.
But placing your attention and identity on the soul engages the Paramatma gears, granting you access to those 5 higher qualities. The blueprint reveals that your internal state isn't just a fleeting mood. It is a literal mechanical alignment with the universe. You are shifting the gears of your own reality based on where you choose to anchor your consciousness.
Man, the sheer intricacy of mapping that out for a single human life is staggering. But of course, the blueprint doesn't stop there.
He zooms way, way out.
Right. Once it establishes this infinitely complex system for one person and one galaxy, it takes the entire equation and multiplies it by infinity.
We finally reach the text's vision of the multiverse.
Yeah. Earlier, we established that Brahma creates the universe. But the deeper layers of the source text clarify that Brahma creates a completely new universe in every single petal of his cosmic lotus.
Yes.
And zooming out to the absolute highest vantage point, a universe is born from every single pore of Mahavishnu. We aren't just talking about a massive universe. We're talking about infinite universes constantly breathing in and out of the physical pores of the divine.
Which introduces a massive philosophical and mathematical hurdle.
Right, because if there are literally infinite universes being generated every second, do things eventually just repeat? Like, are there infinite versions of you listening to this deep dive in slightly different traffic jams across the cosmos? The blueprint answers that with a concept called the Ansh principle, or the fraction principle.
Right.
It states that the core architects, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shivadu, appear in every single universe. However, their fraction, like the specific proportion of their energy, is completely different in every single iteration. Because that foundational mathematical fraction changes every time a universe is born, no two universes and no two galaxies are ever exactly the same.
It is a brilliant mathematical guarantee of infinite expansion without ever resorting to repetition. The variables at the foundation of reality are always shifted just enough to change the entire outcome.
You know, the best way to understand the Ansh principle is to look at procedural generation in modern video games, like No Man's Sky.
Oh, that's a great example.
Right. The developers of that game didn't manually design 18 quintillion unique planets.
Yeah.
That would be literally impossible.
Yeah.
Instead, they built a base code, a set of strict mathematical rules for how a planet forms. But every time the game generates a new star system, it feeds a different seed number into that code. So the core rules are identical everywhere, but because that base seed changes, the output is infinitely diverse and completely unrepeated.
I love that.
In this cosmic blueprint, the Ansh is the seed. It guarantees that every single universe breathing out of Mahavishnu's pores is an absolute, one-of-a-kind masterpiece.
Synthesizing this entire architectural summary really reveals a brilliant, seamlessly integrated 4-level system.
Break it down for us.
Level 1 is the micro, the 10-part gear matrix driving the individual human vessel where your consciousness toggles between the physical body and the soul.
Right, the daily commute.
Exactly. Level 2 scales up to the macro structure, the inverted cosmic tree acting as the central axis, distributing energy downward to feed the physical galaxies.
The leaves on the tree.
Right. Level 3 expands the scope into the multiverse, the cosmic lotus, where every petal houses an entirely new universe governed by its own unique fraction, or Ansh.
the No Man's Sky seed.
Yes. And finally, level 4 is the absolute infinite. Mahavishnu, effortlessly breathing endless variations of these multiverses through his pores.
It is just an unbelievable journey when you lay it out end to end. I mean, we started by looking at a microscopic pore. We watched the biological blink of an eye, clicked the mathematical gears of a soul into place.
Right.
We saw those gears perfectly balanced to hatch a cosmic egg. We watched an inverted tree of galaxies grow out of that egg. We figured out how human consciousness chooses which specific gears to drive its own daily life. And finally, we zoomed all the way out to witness an infinite procedurally generated multiverse.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. But the blueprint truly delivers on its promise. It is a seamless mechanical dance of math, geometry, and consciousness.
It absolutely forces a complete reevaluation of our place in the physical world. And, there's a final lingering thought that emerges from studying these exact mechanics. The source text lays the groundwork for it, but leaves the ultimate implication completely open for the reader to explore.
Oh, I love a good unsolved equation.
Yeah.
What is the final thread?
Well, we established early on that the birth of a physical galaxy occurs when the macrocosmic gears of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva reach a perfectly equal state.
Right. 10-10.
Exactly. The moment that gear matrix hits a perfect 10-10-10 balance, a galaxy is born. So, the question this raises for the individual is pretty profound.
Okay, what is it?
What happens to the human vessel if we somehow manage to balance our own internal microcosmic gears to that exact equal state?
Oh, wow.
Right. If a human mind hits 10-10-10, do we simply achieve spiritual enlightenment? Or, according to the strict, relentless math of this blueprint, does the human mind literally become its own universe?
Oh, man. That is a staggering thought to carry with you today. Keep questioning the architecture around you, pay attention to which gears you're shifting, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.